What's happening, financial coaches? Pete here. Hey, want to talk to you today about the three types of clients that I generally have. And you can probably say there are lots of types of clients, but basically, I kind of want to get into the three types of engagements essentially that I have with clients. And so I also kind of want to break it down into terms of percentages of my overall client population, just to kind of give you an idea of what I've experienced. This can be different for different people, different areas, different socioeconomic backgrounds and whatnot. But what I want to say here is the first type of client that I have is what I call the one off. Now, this is usually a person that has an educational need, right? And the ones I can think of are like, hey, I've got, student loan. I'm trying to think of, my options with it, or can I consolidate and defer, blah, 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 or hey, I'm getting married and, we're told that we should get life insurance, but I'm trying to figure out like how does that work? What should I look at, and things that we need to consider, or whatever it might be. Right? There's usually an event or a moment or a situation that someone is trying to get some information on to make a decision. So that's why I call it the one-off. It's usually an educational issue. It's usually a void on enough information to either make a decision, or maybe too much information and they can't kind of parse it out correctly for themselves. And so usually talking through that, getting some information from them to kind of see what's suitable, and then talk through some of those options, kind of give them the pros and cons, add any detail that they might be missing, in case there are some pitfalls or potholes that they might have to avoid on those types of things. But then usually getting them to a place where they can say, hey, yes, all right, now I feel good about making the decision. Now I know the professional that I need to go to. Now I know what I need to do next, whatever. It's just like there's a little bit of paralysis. Now, this is usually about 20%, I'm guesstimating, of my clients. They usually call in. They don't have a desire to do anything ongoing, and they kind of expected to get some resolution in one session. Now, this is fine, and usually I get paid for that, but unfortunately, it's not the best business builder for me because it's not an ongoing revenue. Now, I will say with these, I also have a tendency for them to come back when something else comes up, right? They are thinking about what to do about replacing their car, or maybe they're going through some marriage changes or life changes or getting laid off or whatever it is. So the good thing is if you do a good job here, you provide what they need, and don't push them into something that they don't. So when I bring that up is that I've seen a lot of coaches try to kind of push people into, say, an accountability relationship, more ongoing, and that's not really what they want. Give them what they need, satisfy their needs now, solve their problems with them, help them figure out how to solve them, whatever it may be. And then if they have a good experience there, they will probably come back. And so even though I call them the one-off, often these people will come back, hey, once a year, or maybe every few years, or whatever it might be, when they have additional questions, because they remember that I was a resource that helped them through a previous situation. The next one is what I call, or for keeping score, the second type of client that I'm talking about here is what I call the three-peat. And this is a person that has a complex issue, and they need to learn how to fish, if that makes sense. So they have a complex issue and they need some help kind of navigating through it. But once they have experienced it, once you have empowered them with the information, once they've experienced it and solved it and achieved it, or maybe made good progress, or now feel confident in their own abilities, they will probably go along and on their own way and kind of address their needs moving forward, hopefully on their own. And so what we're trying to do here is really empower people. I'm not a big fan of that word, but at least help them blaze a trail maybe the first time so that they feel good about it the next time they come up with this. Complex issues can range from not very complex, I think from a technical standpoint, to very complex. And you also have to know when you need to refer out. But I definitely have recalled when people are trying to lower the credit card interest rates. Sometimes this can be a one and done, but a lot of times I'll say, hey, there's different ways to do it. First of all, you want to call your credit card company. You want to figure out what the rates are. You want to take a look at your payment history on them, explore what your job situation is, go in with that information. And usually there can be different steps to this, right? So maybe it's like, hey, let's just get all your credit card information, your balances, your interest rates. Let's pull all that together. Give me a call. Let's talk through it. Let's see what your situation is. See if we've talked to any of these credit card companies before. And then there's the next session and the third session, whatever it might be. Sometimes it is going through an imminent job loss. So I've had people call like, hey, I got a notice that I'm going to be laid off at the end of the month, and I'm trying to figure out what I should do. And, and the process here is going to be like, well, maybe we should turn off your 401k contributions to kind of try to juice your paychecks. Maybe we need to review whatever the severance might be, those types of things. Maybe we need to just kind of talk about how unemployment insurance works in your state and how you would kind of pursue that. So there might be enough things that it just doesn't make sense to try to tackle them all in one situation. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give some people some checklists after that too as well, so that, post their severance, they can and I think about, hey, am I reviewing my expenses? Am I talking to people about jobs? Am I networking? Those types of things, whatever it might be, updating LinkedIn, right? So there can be some things that they'll know how to do. They don't need to talk to me, but it kind of helps to make sure that they feel that they are in control moving forward. And these can be a three-peat. And I bring that up because the most common type of multiple engagement is a three-peat session. So 3 sessions. They don't have to be back to back. I know a lot of people, and my gripe here is a lot of coaches will say, should I be every week? Should it be every month? Again, make it appropriate to them. I mean, I can have a 3-peat session in over 3 days. I've had a situation where someone's power was off on a Friday, and they knew they weren't going to get it resolved until Monday if they didn't get it back on Friday. So how are we going to do that? And it was a situation of, where are we going to find the money to bring the bill up to up to date, right? And if we can't do that, who do we reach out to get a payment plan or get it reinstated while we are making the back payments to the power company and all that stuff? So we had to kind of have an urgent call on Friday. We had to have a follow-up call on Monday. We had to then figure out where we were going to make up the difference on Tuesday, right? So my my request here is to say, make the cadence of your calls appropriate to the client's needs, not based on some sort of artificial business structure that you might have, okay? So 3-peat, most of my clients are in the 3-peat sessions, 3 sessions. 50% of my clients, I'd say about half of my engagements, end up falling in that. The last one is what I call the regular. And this is usually a person who knows how to do it, they know how to fish, but what they need is a little bit of motivation. They might not have kind of the social structure, parents, friends, spouse, whatever it might be, kids, coworkers motivating them. And sometimes maybe those influences that they do have around them are negative influences. And so really what ends up happening is that I tend to be more, I would say, of an accountability partner to them at that point, because they're getting things done. They don't have a knowledge problem of like how to do it. Sometimes they want to bounce around ideas. Sometimes they just want to celebrate what they've done. Sometimes they want to set pretty lofty goals, a goal a year out, whatever it might be. And so these are ones that are just more open-ended. I would say that I could easily be in the 15 sessions with some people. I could be in 30 sessions with some people. Some of these might just be every year. They might actually hang up in January on our call and go to my calendar and schedule for next January already, just to put it on their calendar. This is obvious to me because a lot of people will say, hey, I got this done because I knew our call was coming up. Just having this call on my calendar is enough fire for me to get going and get it done, right? And so I realize that it's just part of being accountable to someone, talking through it, right? Maybe they are making progress, but kind of the finishing touches they want to talk through. It can be anything, but my first thoughts on this is, I've had a client that had gone through a divorce. I kind of helped her with getting her professionals lined up, and some of those types of things, getting her referred out to the people that had to walk her through that life change. But after that, it was more about, hey, once you've collected your assets and you split up things, and now it was, all right, should I live in this house? Is it more house than I need? What does the next stage of my life look like? Should I think about dating? There's all these things that you have to think about. And do I get married again? Do I go through this financial burden? Do I try to save money for my retirement? Whatever it is. But these are kind of like longer term things. They're not necessarily things that we're going to discuss in January. And now you're going to be set for life. And, it comes up, and like I said, I remember over the course of years talking to her, and kids were going off to college and these types of things, and just having to touch base about, all right, I feel good about the financial aid and the money that I can contribute, and my parents are going to contribute. And I found a job further away and I'm commuting, and just all sorts of things. And I really got to see a much broader picture of this person's life in a really good way. And I think she benefits from having these engagements, which aren't that frequent, but are a really good place to touch base and kind of take, I say, the motivation, which tends to slide, and just rejuice it. Just kind of have a little bit of this bump, so that every year when we talk, right, it's a little bit more fire. It's two people collaborating and getting going. And so the regular is relatively common, and this leaves me with about 30% of my clients that, again, this isn't necessarily every month, it's not necessarily every year, it's not necessarily every few years, but it's usually just an ongoing thing. We kind of pick up where we left off, and I really like those too. And again, I wouldn't have those if I were forcing people into like a 3-session, 3-month version of things, right? So those are my 3 types of clients: the one-off, usually an educational need; the three-peat, it's a more of a complex issue that we have to work through; and then 3, the regular, someone who really is looking for more of an accountability partner, someone to kind of cheerlead them on. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully maybe you'll see similar types of clients as you start working with people, but those are really the 3 main buckets for me. I'll see you later.